What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. We have the top decks of Team Up Week 2 here for you guys. So this weekend is Collinsville Regionals, and also there are challenges and League Cups around. But Collinsville is the major event, and last week we had Oceania International Championships, which is kind of leading the meta right now. The top decks from Oceania, the top three were Pikachu, Zapdos, and Zoroark. Those were the decks that took up top 8. We'll be looking at the decks that I think are the top 4 in standard this week. Today is February 22nd, Friday, so going into the weekend here. My top 4 decks we're going to be looking at are Zoroark, Lycanroc, Lucario, Pikachu Zekrom, Zapdos Shrine variants, and the sleeper kinda is Ultra Necrozma GX Malamar. So Zoroark, Lycanroc, Lucario got second at OCIC, piloted by Stefan Ivanov. I think his deck needed an Alolan Grimer in place of the Absol. His deck only had Ditto Prism as a way to evolve into Alolan Muck, so it was much easier for Zapdos variants to hunt down the Ditto and then never have to deal with Muck later. So, I have Muck up here because it's actually a very large part of why I think Zoroark Lycanroc is so powerful right now. Its power of alchemy ability, each basic Pokemon in play in each player's hand and in each player's discard pile has no abilities, so that means that Jirachi with the Stellar Wish ability from Team Up has no ability, and that's the engine of the Zapdos deck. But of course, Zoroark GX is a great Pokemon. Trade once during your turn and we discard a card and draw 2. Rise Beating does 120 for a DCE. Lycanroc, even though it's fighting, Lucario GX is better versus Pikachu because Aura Strike does 120 for only 1 energy, whereas Lycanroc needs at least 2 energy to attack. You could use Counter Gain, but sometimes you're ahead, but you also need to respond to an attack with another one-hit knockout to secure the game, and Lucario GX helps you do that because Aura Strike reads if this Pokemon evolved from Riolu this turn, this attack does 90 more damage, so you can just OHKO a Pikachu Zekrom GX with 1 energy and take 3 prizes off of that. And of course, Lycanroc's Bloodthirsty Eyes to gust up opponent's benched Pokemon to the active spot, and its Dangerous Rogue GX that can do a ton of damage are just so great that we're cramming all these Pokemon into one deck, and it can work because it's a Zoroark deck, and you have draw power throughout the game as long as you had a decent setup. So this is the list I've settled on right now that I think is the closest to optimal Zoroark, Lycanroc, Lucario list that I have seen. So we have the Alolan Grimer, like I mentioned, very important to have 2 Pokemon that can evolve into Alolan Muck. The 4-4 Zoroark line's pretty standard. We're playing 2-1 Lucario because I needed extra deck space for things like the Alolan Grimer and the Stadiums and the Field Blower, and we'll talk about that in just a second. We're not doing 2-2 Lucario, but I would not argue against 2-2 Lucario. I think it's fine. It's just I needed deck space to make some other things work. The 2-2 Lycanroc, of course, Bloodthirsty Eyes is so great, and that means we can play a lower count of Guzma. We have the Field Blower in here, and another different card I have from Stefan's list is Lysander Labs, which, while this stadium is in play, it shuts off all tool cards, so tools do not work while Lysander Labs is in play. The Field Blower and the Lysander Labs are here for weakness policies in Pikachu, because if you cannot hit Pikachu for weakness, we cannot beat that deck most of the time. And the Viridian Forest and the Wondrous Labyrinth, those were cards in Stefan's list, and I liked them, so I kept them in. And everything else here is pretty standard. So next deck we have is Pikachu Zekrom Full Blitz 150, search your deck for 3 lightning energy, put them onto one of your Pokemon, then Tag Bolt, as long as you have 3 extra lightning energy, it does 200 to the active and 170 to a bench. So this is the OHKO deck of the format right now, and it's insane because it can actually OHKO 2 Pokemon with 1 GX attack. Zoroark helps it because you can have free retreat for anything with lightning energy. Tapu Koko GX is great against the mirror because you can arrow trail in and Tapu Thunder GX. Tapu Koko is an energy accelerant, while Thunder Mountain makes you need less energy to attack. So for the next 3 decks, my format here is going to be the cards at the bottom are the tech options that aren't included in every list. For Zoroark, Lycanroc, Lucario, I didn't have that. I just had the 4 main Pokemon. There's not a lot of tech attackers you can fit in when you're already playing Lucario and Lycanroc in the Zoroark deck. So Jolteon GX has been seen in some lists. 3rd place at OCIC, Kai, when he played it. Zapdos, we've seen some builds with 2 Zapdos in the decks. Rahul Reddy piloted a list like that at OCIC. That helps more against the 1 prize decks because you have 1 prize yourself. And a myriad of Pikarom variants use Jirachi as a search/draw engine, just a little extra to help you get some steam going. So here is the 3rd place list from OCIC. I made no changes to it. I think it's pretty good. Like I said, it's playing the Jolteon, and they're also playing the 2 Zapdos, so there's a little bit of everything in here. Only 2 Pikarom, so some lists are playing 3 Pikarom and 2 Zoroark. They cut down on that here to fit the Zapdos and the Jolteon, but this is a nice mixture of things. If you're not sure which lightning variant you want to go with or what text you want to go with, this has a little bit of everything, so you can at least try it out. At the bottom there, I believe I cut off a few supporters, Guzma, Lily, Volkner, and the Lightning Energy. So sorry about that, but you can check out that list at limitlesstcg.com. Next deck on my list is Zapdos Shrine variants. So again, the top 5 cards are ones that are usually included. Zapdos, of course, and Jirachi are the main Pokemon, since Thunderous Assault does 10 damage plus 70 more if this Pokemon was on your bench this turn. And Jirachi's Stellar Wish can only be used while it's in the active and has great synergy with a skateboard. So you'll use Stellar Wish to get a trainer or item, trainer or item, any kind of trainer card. With a skateboard attached, use your Stellar Wish, retreat it, even while it's asleep, because that's what a skateboard reads. You can retreat while asleep or paralyzed into Zapdos to make Thunderous Assault do its maximum damage. Tapu Koko GX, again, great against Pikarom decks because of Tapu Thunder GX. And Tapu Koko Prism is your energy accelerant for attackers like Tapu Koko GX, while Shrine of Punishment helps you get extra damage on the Pikarom GXs and the Zoroark GXs. Jolteon GX is a great partner here. Electro Bullet is a nice spread of 30-30 to soften things up for later, or even with an Electro Power Oko and opposing Zapdos. Headbolt is a solid 110 for 2 energy, and Swift Run GX is a great GX attack because Jolteon GX itself cannot be affected or damaged by attacks next turn. Zebstrika is an alternate draw support we saw in some lists. So your Jirachis, if they get shut off by a Alolan Muck, you have Zebstrika to fall back on. Its sprint ability, once during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 4 cards. Not as synergistic as Jirachi, but it's something as a backup in case you can't use your Jirachis. And then we also saw Buzzwole for its Sledgehammer attack and Nihilego for its Nightcap attack included in Zapdos variants with Rainbow and Beast Energy. If you're not familiar with Nihilego, Nightcap says you can only use this attack if your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining. Choose any of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. So you can go Nightcap and copy Dangerous Rogue GX or something crazy like that. So you see why that card may be included, but you need the Rainbow Energies. So it depends on how you're building your list. My list for the example of this archetype is the list that won OCIC. Isaiah Williams from Team DDG played this list. Just very straightforward and consistent. 4 Zapdos, 4 Jirachi, 3 Escape Board, 3 Switch, 3 Escape Rope, 4 Guzma, so a lot of switching options. 3 Professor Kukui, so a lot of damage modifiers with the Shrines and the Choice Bands as well. And of course the 4 Electro Power. So it's just trying to do as much as you can with this 1 prize Zapdos. It only needs 1 energy, and it's consistent because of the 4 Jirachis and all the supporter and trainer cards. Lastly, but what I believe to be not least, is Ultra Necrozma GX Malamar. It's kind of a sleeper right now. It did have 7 placements at OCIC in day 2, but none of them made top 8. One, I believe, bubbled at 9th, but like I said, none topped 8, so it's not being included in the top 3 decks, which are being revered as Pikarom, Zapdos, and Zoroark right now. I think Ultra Necrozma GX really has a chance this weekend for your tournaments and Collinsville regionals. The tech I'm choosing for this list right now is Tapu Koko with Flying Flip. Because if you Flying Flip a couple times, use Distortion Doors, you can then sweep a board of Zapdos and Jirachis, or you can have a favor in the mirror match because you can get rid of all of their Malamars. Marshadow, Dawnwings, Necrozma, and Lunala Prism are techs sometimes. I'm actually not using Dawnwings or Lunala Prism or Marshadow in my list currently, and I'll show you my list right now. It's also on flipsidegaming.com in the form of a free article right now, so be sure to go read that. But I really enjoy this list, and it would be one of my top choices if I was playing in Collinsville Regionals this weekend. I like the split of a skateboard and switch. These skateboards obviously work for Jirachi, while switches work for things like Giratina and the Malamars. It's a consistent list, but it also has the Tapu Koko tech that really helps versus Zapdos, and it's an added bonus. It can soften up Zoroarks, it can help in the mirror matches like I mentioned. I think it really gives Ultra Necrozma that extra edge it needs to keep up with the Zapdos 1 prize variants, while also helping out in other matchups so it's not a complete dead 2 cards. So those are my 4 top decks for week 2 of Team Up. If I had to put them in order, I would say Zapdos is going to be number 1 just because it kind of dominated OCIC and won the whole tournament. Pikarom at 2 because it's just such an inherently strong deck. Even though it didn't get second like Zoroark, Lucario did, or first like Zapdos did, it did get third and fourth in a bunch of other placements. And really good players are piloting this deck, and it's just a scary deck to face down even if you have counters in your deck for it, which is why I think it's number 2 right now. Zoroark, Lucario, number 3. It has the Alolan Muck. It has Zoroark to draw your cards, and it can fit Lucario and Lycanroc into the same deck, which are both threats versus Pikachu Zekrom, and the Alolan Muck is a threat versus Zapdos, so you have something for the other 2 top decks. And then Ultra Necrozma GX Malamar, I believe it has the tools to beat all 3 of the top decks, especially when you have those Tapu Koko promos in there for Flying Flip. That's the list out of the 4 I showed that I liked the most. My second favorite list would be the Zoroark, Lucario, Lycanroc. Just Zoroark has been a favorite of mine for a very long time, so I'm kind of biased towards that, though. I do think all the lists in this video are very great. I haven't changed the Zapdos and the Pikarom lists from the first place and the third place lists from OCIC because I haven't had time to test those as much, but I did put time into Zoroark and to Ultra Necrozma, and I can confidently say those lists are very tight. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and you can go watch some other videos you might enjoy over to the right. Be sure to follow me on Twitch for my live streams, and check out flipsidegaming.com. Use code CELIO, all caps, for 10% off of your next order, $10 or more. I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.